Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be going over the 2019 Nissan Murano. And then as always, we will do a quick walk around on the 2019 Murano, go over the key features of the car, and then we'll take it out to see how it drives. And then as always as well, a big shout out and thank you to Tim Daly Nissan here in Murray for providing us with the vehicle. If you are in the market for a new Nissan, definitely check these guys out. They will hook you up. And then I did forget to mention, if you are stopping in for the first time, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed. It definitely always helps out the channel. Now, popping under the hood of the 2019 Murano, we're going to see a 3.5 liter V6 that's going to be routed through a CVT transmission. In terms of fuel economy numbers, you're going to get 20 around town and 28 on the highway. Horsepower figures on this are going to be 260 horsepower and 240 pound-feet of torque. Now, finishing things up front, we can see Nissan's new design with the Murano. So the biggest difference you're going to notice is with the headlights here. They kind of have a signature look to them. I love how they have this little like V shape with them. That's actually where the LED accent lighting is, but they are reflector LEDs. And then just down below, you can see the fog lamps. And then with Nissan's signature front end grille with kind of like the little smiley face there with the Nissan logo in the center. But I definitely like this look on the Murano a lot better than the prior generation. It has a much more modern look on it and looks sharper, and it's kind of like similar to what the Z cars that Nissan has look like. Now, coming around to the side here, we have 20-inch polished rims, and I love the finish on them. It's kind of like more like a machine gray is the best way for me to describe it, and they look absolutely fantastic, especially with the black paint that this particular Murano is finished in. Let me take a step back so you can kind of see the side profile of the Murano. It has some very nice lines on it, and that little accent right here at the bottom there looks really, really good as well. Now, we're actually in the back of the Murano, but we can see the key fob for the Murano here. You've got a bunch of different functions on it. So you have your tailgate release right there, your lock and unlock, and then remote start. To do the remote start, you just have to press the lock button, and then you hold down the remote start function right there. Takes a second, but the Murano will start right up, and then if you press that remote start function again, the Murano will shut back off. The function, like it says, a tailgate release, so you hold that button down, and then the Murano will open up the tailgate, and it is a power lift tailgate on this particular package. And with the tailgate open, we can pop into the back. There is a little cargo net here. You do get a cargo cover as well, and there's actually a ton of storage space. They give you this nice rubber floor mat, but you can see that under here there is a little spare tire under there. But in terms of like rear trunk space, there is plenty. A couple other things in the trunk. You get this little Nissan little handy bag back here. That's pretty cool, but if you pull this little latch, that will lower down these seats. There's no function to raise them back up, but they at least give you a function to lower them down so that you don't have to go all the way around to throw it on the seats if you need to quickly load something up into the trunk. And then there is a button on the exterior to lower down the tailgate, and as the tailgate's coming down, let's look at the overall design in the rear. So we've got some parking sensors in the back, and then we can see the backup cameras integrated up there in the kind of like below here, but that's really nice. And then we got some LED accent lights here in the back, and kind of similar to what they have on the 370Z. Like I said before, they've taken that design language and put them on a lot of the cars. It looks really, really good, and I'm glad they've gone for full LEDs now because it makes the look of it look a lot cleaner. And then especially with the new rear spoiler they've done on the back of this SUV, I just actually really like this rear angle. I think it's one of its best angles. Now, coming over here to the back, I love the look of the door panels here. So you get some contrasted stitching. The leather actually feels really, really nice. You get your window control there as well, and then they have some nice wood trim with the door handle. The door handle has a nice solid feel to it, but here's a little view of the door handle. And then if we come around to the back, we've got some nice quilted leather back here, and again, that looks really, really good. I love quilted leather. I've actually never mentioned that to you guys before, but I'm kind of a sucker for it. I love the design on it. And then just down below here, we've got our controls for the heated seats. You get some USBs as well, and then you get some vent controls back there, and then you can see how the seat looks as it's folded down. And if you look up, there is a panoramic unit that comes to the back seats. Now, coming over here to the side, we've got some function to lock the car. Just press that, and then you press it again actually to unlock it. And now that the front is unlocked, we can see the door panel on the front looks just like they had the door panel on the back. More of that nice leather with the contrasted stitching. You get all of your window controls right here, mirror controls as well, and then your memory seat controls are right there, and more of that nice wood trim. And then if we pop over here, we can see the controls for the seats. You have power adjustments right here with lumbar as well, and then we do have a release for the gas glass and the hood and then the pedal layout. These seats up front are just like the back seats. They've got some nice bolsters on them, so they'll hold you in place pretty well, but they're wider, so it's more comfortable to sit in. Sorry, my shadow's getting in the way, but you can see more of that quilted leather and definitely has a nicer design to it. And the leather seats are actually really, really soft, so they're really comfortable to sit in. Let's pop inside so that we can see the step and height's actually really good. It is an SUV, so it's really easy to get in. No need for running boards or anything like that, but to start up the Murano, put your foot on the brake, push the push start button, and then it'll start right up. You see the gauges will do a little bit of a sweep. We have a couple buttons over here. So your button for your heated steering wheel is right there, stability control. That is for your tailgate release, basically to stop at different areas. And then this is to turn on or off a lot of the safety tech. It's just a button you press there, and then it gives you a little button for the lane departure right there. Turn that on or off, which is nice. And then if we pop over to the steering wheel over here, we can see we've got our controls for the adaptive cruise control. And then the steering wheel is nicely lined with leather, contrasted stitching, Nissan logo in the center. And then we have all of our controls for the Bluetooth and the center screen. We've got little pages button. We'll go over those in just a moment, and then volume controls for the radio. Popping in the gauge cluster right here, we've got our RPMs on the left side, we have our speed on the right side, and then you have that little configurable center screen, and you can see that I can scroll through a bunch of different menus on this center screen here. It gives me a bunch of different information on the vehicle. It's super configurable, but as always, I usually just keep it on the home screen button just because I like to see how fast I'm going, because try not to get any tickets here. Now this is the infotainment system for the 2019 Murano. They've got some nice analog buttons on the side, and I'm glad that a lot of manufacturers are going this route with analog buttons, but then also having a touchscreen so that whatever's your preference you can kind of go for. But this is going to give you your navigation, your Bluetooth phone controls, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, all those functions you can control here on the touchscreen, or you can use the analog buttons for little shortcuts for most of those functions. Now let's go over the camera system. So first we'll pop it into reverse, and you'll see that the cameras will pop up. You do get a bird's eye view as well as a traditional backup camera. You can see I can press this button and it gives me different views here on the side with the SUV. You can go full screen with the backup camera, but it's nice that they give you all these different camera views, so it makes the SUV a lot easier to park. Now just below on the touchscreen, we've got all of our analog climate controls here. So dual zone climate here in the Murano, and all those controls right there, and then they do give you a separate screen for the climate. And then just down below we've got some power outlets here, USBs. So right here is the shifter for the Murano, and we can see we do get a dual shift mode, so if you want to shift the gears yourself, you can. And just below that, we actually have our controls for our heated and ventilated seats, some cup holders over here, and then some extra storage. You also have everything full with all these different sets of keys, so it's plenty of storage here in the front. And we do get this little center armrest here, so contrasted stitching, leather, wood trim in the middle, looks really, really nice. And then we can pull this open, and you can see you get some extra storage in there. You can store a bunch of things. There is another 12-volt outlet, but it's actually a really big size center console for an SUV. And then if we go over here to the glove box, we can see that it is lined with felt, and it's a good sized glove box. You can store plenty of stuff in there. Now up here we have our controls for the sunroof. Like I said, it is a full panoramic unit, so this part of the sunroof opens up, and then the rest does not open up, but it lets additional sunlight into the back part of the cabin as well. And then you can just have the shade open if you just want to have extra light into the cabin. Overall on the interior, it's actually a really, really nice premium interior. This so far is my favorite interior out of all of the Nissans that I have reviewed. I just like a lot of the materials that they look, and like I said, I'm in love with those seats. But really, really nice interior. But that all being said, now that we're done going over the key features on the Murano, let's take out the 2019 Murano just to see how it drives. We are setting off here now in the 2019 Murano, and I'm actually kind of already a little bit in love with this SUV, and that's just because I really like the styling that Nissan's kind of going for with their newer cars. They look really, really sharp. Initially setting off in the Murano, I'm noticing that there is not a whole lot of road noise. They've done really, really well with the cabin insulation in this particular car. So far, the initial kind of like acceleration feel, it's more than adequate, and I'm actually not even noticing that this is a CVT. It kind of feels more like a traditional automatic, which that's a huge plus for me personally. Visibility all throughout the Murano is actually really good. There is a tiny little blind spot in the very, very, very back, but other than that, all the other windows, there's tons of visibility all throughout the car, which is really good. And then with the blind spot monitoring system that this comes with, I mean, you're gonna feel super, super safe driving it. You're not gonna have an issue on that aspect of things. Steering on the car is really, really light, and it's direct as well, but I mean, it's super effortless to do the steering on the Murano. Ride quality on the Murano is really, really smooth. Kind of like I said, you're kind of protected from the outside, so you don't get a whole lot of road noise, but on top of that, it just rides super, super smooth. This is, again, one of those SUVs where it's definitely on the top tier in terms of ride quality for what I have tested so far. Now let's get in acceleration with the 2019 Murano to see how this 3.5 liter V6 performs. Those gear shifts are really quick actually, but it's not sports car fast or anything like that, but it's more than enough power for this SUV, and the benefit is this is kind of like a bigger sized SUV, and you're going to get a little bit better fuel economy with this, since it's not going crazy on the power or twin turbocharging. They keep it simple, keep it naturally aspirated, so reliability is also going to be better. Overall impressions on the Murano, this is definitely one of the more solid offerings in this particular segment of SUVs, and this new Murano is just super fantastic. So if you are on the market for an SUV that's kind of like a little bit more storage space size, so something similar to like a Jeep Grand Cherokee basically, definitely come and check out one of these Muranos. It is worth the look. And there we have it, everyone, the 2019 Nissan Murano. And then as always, thank you everyone so much for watching. If you are stopping in for the first time, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe, comment down below what you thought, and then a big shout out and thank you again to Tim Daly Nissan here in Murray for providing us with the vehicle. Check these guys out if you are in the market for a new Nissan, but then I will see all of you in that next video.